What to expect from your 2023 Clemson Tigers? What better way to know than talking to a player directly? Offensive lineman Mason Johnstone is going to join the show. We're going to talk about this new offense, how it compares to last year, as well as what defensive players he's faced in practice and which needs to know about him next on the Locked On Clemson Podcast.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Clemson family? Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson Podcast, your daily podcast covering your Clemson Tigers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, as well as part of the co-host team of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. Thank y'all for making Locked On Clemson your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday. Whenever I drop these episodes, appreciate all the support. But guys, we have a fun show. And as you can see, for those watching on YouTube, we have offensive lineman, my guy, my little big brother, Mason Johnstone, on the show. Mason, thank you for tapping in with me, bro.
Yeah, appreciate it, DP. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Listen, first off, how's your summer been? You know, I know spring practice and everything was over, and now you guys are starting with fall camp this week, right? Yep. You guys are really getting into fall camp. So first off, how's your summer been, man?
Oh, it's been great. We've been really working hard. Offensive linemen, I think they told us it was the most workload we've gotten by far over the last 5 years. So, I mean, we've just been chipping away. I think it's really helped us build some camaraderie. We've had a great summer, fantastic summer.
Awesome, man. Like, for you, what was one of the things that, one of your goals coming into, just this season, right? Spring training, summer, and then now getting ready for the fall. What were some of your personal goals that you wanted to check off your list?
Yeah, I think firstly for me is just getting my body right. That's kind of one of the biggest things for me. I'm underweight, and so kind of trying to meet that offensive line criteria and kind of gradually build. And then learning the offense, really, I think that was one of the points that I wanted to make sure I got ahead of early so that I could then translate that into my training and then my other routines.
Sweet. And you talk about just the offensive line, how much work you guys have put in, man. You walking into this year with Garrett Riley's new up-tempo spread air raid offense. First off, how different is this offense compared to what you guys ran last year? Where I think it was Coach Streeter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean this offense is definitely we're going to play fast, and I think one of the most fun things that happened this spring, especially in competitive times in practice, was the way that Coach Riley was able to kind of parlay different plays off of each other. And so maybe it was on a Tuesday practice we'd run this play a couple times, show the defense, and maybe then the next practice, we've already got their adjustment in our head, and then we're, countering off of these other plays. And so that was really fun, is just having an advantage in our play calling, and then having, fun plays, stuff that, is treated to the abilities of our players. I mean, getting guys like Will Shipley and Phil Moffa the ball, in space as receiving threats, and then, just getting those tight ends involved, and then just, as offensive linemen, we call this offense the dirt raid. And so, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to, I think Coach Riley said, we're going to shove it down some people's throats some games. And so, we're excited for that.
No, I love hearing that, because I've done check the tape, which is my second one. I kind of study different players off the team and kind of talk to the fans, talk to the listeners about what I saw on tape, man. And you have one of the best backfield duos in all of college football, not just the ACC, but in the country, with Will Shipley being kind of that all-purpose do-it-all back. And then Phil Moffa having that NFL size and frame. I was actually, even though I watched him, I didn't realize he was like 6 foot, listed at 6'1", 225, but he's built like a grown man. He's a grown man in that backfield. And, and I told the listeners, like, listen, I want to see more of Phil Moffa this year because of what he brings to the offense. And just hearing you talk about calling it the dirt raid, I love that, right? Yeah. Getting down and dirty, being physical in the trenches at the line of scrimmage, and really pressing the issue. And I think that's going to, and I've talked to the listeners about that, like, just running the ball is going to help, get Cade settled. You know what I mean? Get as a first year starter, like his first full season. And I've read and heard a lot about how hard he's worked. Kind of talk to us about that, like, just kind of you watching Cade in practices, this summer, stuff like that, when you've been around him. What has his mentality really been like?
Yeah, he's really taken command of the offense, and it was, the offensive line all lifts together. And so I don't get to see that much of what Cade puts in, but this last Friday we all had we had like a mini mat together, and the quarterbacks went and ran it with the offensive line. And it was kind of like our last workout of the summer. And that dude was moving. Like it was kind of eye opening, because I'm like, oh man, like, I mean, all these quarterbacks, like they weren't breaking a sweat, and we're over here like dying. And so that kind of showed me that these guys, I mean, they've been working hard, and I think they've done a good job of, we've got a lot of receivers back. And so for Cade, getting that chemistry right with them, I think he's done a really good job of that. And then all the quarterbacks have as well. I mean, I think we have a really deep room, as well as, Cade leading it just overall.
No, for sure. And I mean, just looking at this, I'm excited for this offense because of, the difference. There's a couple differences between Cade and like a DJU, right? DJU 6'4", 240, 235, 240, where Cade is not just around 6 foot, 6'1", a little over 200 pounds and stuff like that. But Cade being the better athlete of the two. And that's why I'm really excited for this offense with Garrett Riley, at the helm. And, for those who don't know, that Mason is a scouting intern over at the Draft Network with us. So he's been, he's been with us for about a year, feel like a year now, about a year. So like, we've had in-depth conversations about prospects from the 2023 draft and everything. And I can say, like, this is one of the best young minds in terms of scouting and watching players in the game. And, we watched that TCU's offense, right, with Max Duggan, because we had to watch Quentin Johnston. Right. And one of the things was all the spacing, right? Giving Max Duggan all the potential receiving threats, but also the ability to use his athleticism to get him out of a pinch if necessary. And that's why I'm really excited about this offense, Mason, is because of the simple fact that, yeah, DJU was a good athlete for his size, right? You can run the QB power, QB counter, and stuff like that, especially in the red zone, make him play 11 on 11. Right. But with Cade and his that track background, and like you just talked about, him being able to really open it up and move in open field, that giving him that type of space where it's truly 11 on 11 all over the field. So it's not just the red zone with Cade. It's okay, you're inside your 20 and you go spread. We still have to like contain Cade and his legs, because if you don't, he's going to be able to get chunk yardage as a runner.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And throughout the spring, I mean, that was something that's going to prepare our defense, having a guy like that who in the offense is going to play free and going to be able to use his legs when he needs to. And then, that's going to teach our defense, because we're going to play quarterbacks that, can run the ball. And so that's been really great. And I think that's another wrinkle of the offense that Cade definitely brings.
Yeah. Like you said, the defense is absolutely going to face some athletic quarterbacks starting week one with, Riley Leonard at Duke. And then you got, Spencer Rattler, at the end of the season. You also have Travis, Jordan Travis, week 4, I believe it is, when Seminoles come to town and everything. So no, 100%, like Cade is going to absolutely give them the type of looks they need to prepare for heading into the 2023 season. And a lot of these athletic quarterbacks, I think, even North Carolina State has, they have MJ Miles Morris, and they have Brennan Armstrong, who didn't have a great season. So if he doesn't have a great start, I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to, MJ. And MJ's a dual threat and a dual sport athlete. So you are 100% on that. The defense definitely gets some early looks in terms of knowing how to handle a more mobile, uber athletic runner and creator and improviser. But you talk about the defense, man. We're going to get into the defense in the next segment, kind of just talk about some of these guys that you faced at practice, kind of talk them up. We had Andrew Makuba on the show a couple of weeks ago. Love that dude. Very, very intelligent, headsy player that, I have fun watching him on tape, and excited for year 2 in Wes Goodwin's system. So we're going to talk about them guys, the defenders for your 2023 Clemson Tigers, coming up next on the Locked On Clemson podcast. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you need to do is create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. Once you do that, add the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. They have simple tools at their disposal, like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skill set and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So guys, LinkedIn Job helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Mason, defenders that everybody should know. I remember sitting on meetings with you last summer and early into the season, and I think someone asked, like, man, is Myles Murphy a dude, Mason? And you're like, I block him every day. He's absolutely a dude. I'll never forget you saying that, man. And now heading into this season, you guys still have like a litany of defensive linemen, man. And I want to start off just kind of your thoughts on the to me, I call him the X factor of the defense. Xavier Thomas, the X factor, Xavier. You know what I mean? The Xavier Thomas, man, who looks chiseled. He looks to be in great, phenomenal shape. Man, and that twitch, that explosiveness that he brings off the edge, man. What have you seen from him just through spring and everything? And then what are your expectations for him heading into this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's picked up right where he left off after that. I'm trying to remember what game it was, FSU maybe, where he got like 6 snaps and 2 sacks.
Yeah, I think it was
No,
FSU.
I mean, he's picked up right where he left off. Just adds something that not many teams have. Just someone off the edge who can really get you with speed, but then has a lot of counters off of it. So I mean, he's always a tough rep, going up against him. But even I think he, as long as he stays healthy, the sky's the limit. I mean, he's super talented and just leads by example.
Yeah, I see when. The name that I thought about with him was like, I want him to have that, Myles Murphy is such a polarizing name, one of the best defensive ends, I would say, in the last couple years, last decade, for Clemson, man. But, one of the better ones that has stepped on that campus. But KJ Henry, having that KJ Henry type of season where even if he doesn't have the 8, 10, 12 sacks or anything crazy like that, but having 30-plus pressures and flushing quarterbacks and things like that. With his especially as we talked about in the first segment, those athletic quarterbacks you will face, Riley Leonard and Jordan Travis, Spencer Rattler, possibly MJ Morris over at North Carolina State, right? Those athletic guys are going to be like having that Xavier Thomas who, all right, you come and all the quarterbacks are taught to do that little pirouette spin when they feel the pressure. You do that around Xavier Thomas's angle, he's gonna catch you. So I'm excited to see just him, being healthy, man, having a full season healthy and really be able to showcase his ability and show like not the flashes, but because some people view him like, oh, he's maybe a flash in the pan. No, I want to be able to stay healthy for a full season and show that stability that he'll bring to this pass rush and to this edge rush, man. And a guy that me and you actually texted and talked about. Tyler, we talked about both your interior defensive linemen, but Tyler Davis, man, talk to me about TD, bro. He's an animal on the inside of the D line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's just one of those guys that what you're getting every day, and I think that goes a long way. I mean, he's so consistent and he's so talented. He's got moves for days. You never have Tyler Davis beat. And he's another guy leads by example. And you just see, Coach Sweeney likes to show like film of Grady Jarrett in our meetings and stuff. And not Grady Jarrett necessarily like getting a sack, but Grady Jarrett running, 30 yards downfield and to make a tackle that had nothing to do with him. And Tyler kind of brings that same kind of energy and that desire. And I think Coach Easton does a great job of getting that out of everybody. But yeah, I mean, Tyler, I mean, to me, that's he's one of the best there is in the country, without a doubt. I mean, and he's proved it. He's a 2-time All-American. He'll be a 3-time I mean, he's as good as it gets.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy watching his tape, man. A guy that just never stops playing, and that's kind of to your point. Just his motor is outstanding. You know what I mean? And you love a defensive lineman that if that first move is stalled, he's got a second, he's got a third, and I think I wrote down he's a repeat puncher. Like as a boxer, he does not stop throwing punches. Like you all of them won't land, and you might be able to block the first couple, but his hands are so fast that he's able to shoot and refit and reshoot to where as an offensive lineman, it's like you're kind of in the whirlwind because you're never going to get rest with him, lined up ahead of you, across from you. You're never going to get that. And I love that. And for me, man, really talented dude. I'm going to tell you, I love Rook. I love the potential of Rook Aurora. Like Rook has the power, the first step quickness. It looks like he's got, functional, good arm length and wingspan. And then he's got some moves himself that, he's showing some flash double hand swipe, right? Playing a half man technique to be able to strike down the chest plate and control the movement of the blocker and everything like that, man. Talk to me about Rook.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of the same thing as TD, you know what you're going to get. And I think Rook, especially this summer, and he was always like this as long as I've been here, but he's really stepped up as a leader for that entire D line, especially with KJ leaving, that role kind of has been filled, I think, as a leader. And, you said it. I mean, he's got moves, and in space, he's so dangerous, but he can also get you with power. And so, as offensive linemen, it's easy for us to kind of categorize defensive linemen. Like, is this a power guy? Is this a finesse guy? And when you have a guy that can do both, it can really cause some problems. And so, Rook just brings so much of that to the field. And I mean, you just see it. The physical traits are, pop off the charts. I mean, he's, he could long arm me, I mean, he's just very talented. He's got a lot of moves in his bag. I think that, we'll see this summer or this fall.
And I love the versatility too, because you'll see him at 0 tech, 1, you see him at 3, 4. I've even seen him at like 6 tech, outside shade of the tackles. And I'm just like, this dude can line up literally anywhere on the defensive front and make an impact.
Oh yeah. Tennessee week, we were doing some 3-man front stuff for bowl prep. And that was scary. I mean, seeing a guy that big out there line up in a 2-point stance, that's not fun.
No, I'm sure it's not. And he's like with his power and everything else, and just the athleticism for a big guy like that, man. That's rare. He's a rare commodity for sure. But let's jump to the not the O-line, but you guys have some young defensive linemen as well. And I forget them. I got to pull up the depth chart again. But there's a defensive tackle, like a nose tackle. That's a young guy that I kind of had my eye on. I think, Peyton Paige Jr. is a junior, kind of big guy. I think that is behind Tyler Davis and Rook, man. What's his game like? And, how much should we expect to see him, do you think?
Yeah, when I think of Peyton, I think of energy and power. I mean, he's so hard to displace as an offensive lineman. And so that, goes a long way. And especially going against zone schemes where you're trying to, get double teams off, or when you're trying to, gallop technique, push a guy into another gap. I mean, it's tough when a guy is not willing to move. And, Peyton's so strong, and I think his body is, exactly where they want it to be. And I think he's done a really good job of working hard to get to where he's at now. But yeah, just another guy that is just so dangerous, so hard to block in the run game. But then in the pass game, brings a whole lot of energy. He's not one-dimensional at all. He can play on third down, and I think he brings a lot to the table. Just as maybe he won't play over Tyler and Rook, but as a rotational guy coming in, you don't lose a beat with him at all.
Yeah, I can envision and I can see him playing some nose where you kind of kick Rook and Tyler down into like that 3-2-eye 3 type of alignment and everything, and let him kind of handle double teams, giving those guys single gaps. And of course, your 2 star linebackers, man. We're going to close out this segment and everything with those guys. Barrett Carter, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., man. Talk those boys up, man. Those are not just two of the best. Not just 2 of the best in the ACC. Those are 2 of the best in the country, man. Just talk about your star-studded, linebacker duo.
Yeah, no, they're the best there is. And I mean, I don't think you could build a better linebacker, a better Mike than Jeremiah Trotter. I mean, it's like God just made him himself. I think Barrett's so versatile, and he's so dangerous, and he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. And you pair those 2 guys up together, who are just great personalities and leaders on the defense too, and vocal, and they know the defense, they know what they're doing, and that's important. But yeah, I mean, same thing. This defense is very consistent, I think, and it doesn't get much more consistent than those 2 guys, especially when you add in like Wade Woodaz, and just so many athletes that can do so many different things. I mean, I think Trotter finished with like 6 sacks last year. Like, that's just, I mean, it's just the kind of stuff that like just doesn't make sense. But, he does a great job of just playing within the scheme and then, being a ball player.
No, for sure, man. And listen, I'm excited to see those boys. Year 2 in Wes Goodwin's system. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I'm expecting big things from this defense. Star-studded defense, a lot of NFL talent, even in the secondary with Makuba, RJ Mickens, Nate Wiggins. Like, there's a Sheridan Jones. There's a lot of like NFL talent and that you guys have on the defensive side of the ball, and of course on the offense as well. But Mason, man, listen, you've done so well. I appreciate you, brother, tapping in with me. Definitely gonna have to get you back on, after the season, maybe during the season, during the week when things aren't too hectic for you, have you come back on and talk about what's going on with those Clemson Tigers, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, DP.
Yes, sir. Coming up, guys, we're going to talk about a 4-star linebacker recruit that received his offer from the Tigers. Coming up next on the Prowl on the Locked On Clemson Podcast. On the Prowl, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Prowl for more 4-star recruits in the 2024 class. And a linebacker out of Hoover, Alabama, Bradley Shaw, received his his offer from your Clemson Tigers this past Monday on July 31st, which was my birthday, by the way. But he received this offer. This young man, in the 2024 class, he's a consensus 4-star recruit for all 4 major, ESPN, Rival, 24/7 Sports, as well as One.com. Listed at 6'1", 215, 216. A young man that's really talented, man. And he's a multi-sport athlete. He throws, on the track and field team, but also playing the linebacker position. Yeah, he came in and tweeted out that he received his offer, and it's just crazy looking at some of the prediction stuff where, One.com's recruiting prediction machine has Alabama, which would not be shocking, right? This kid's highly sought after, guys. He's got offers from, of course, now Clemson, but Arkansas, Georgia, Notre Dame, Auburn, and Alabama, of course. Mississippi State is another. And One.com has Alabama in the lead, with the other 2 teams trailing. Alabama has a 23.9, basically 24% chance to land them at this particular time. But close by is Auburn, and then right at with 16.8, and right below them at 14.4% is Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Now, again, there's multiple you could look at. You look at 24/7 Sports, and they have kind of their interest meters where it's simple. It's similar, right? Right now, because Arkansas and Clemson are deemed as cool. They use more in terms of interest, warm, cool, hot, stuff like that. So of course Clemson's a little cooler because he just left, so he's got to think about how he liked everything there and kind of sit down with his mom, his family, and everything. Go from there. But yeah, cool for Clemson, cool for Arkansas, but Auburn, Alabama, and Notre Dame, all 3 are in the warm. For the interest meter. But a kid that threw 156.2 feet, back on May 7th, and then his shot put 54.2 feet as well in the shot put. So, like I said, strong kid. Now, Cooper Pentagna did his scouting report earlier this back in the early late winter, depends on where you live in the country. And his report, he talked about he estimated around 6'1", 215, possesses an athletic frame with growth potential to add additional weight to his build, displayed good athleticism at the linebacker position, and is also a multi-sport athlete that participates, as I told you, the shot put and the discus. Demonstrates a high level of football intelligence and instincts at the second level, showing the ability to key and diagnose offensive schemes quickly, exhibits good play speed, both downhill and sideline to sideline, while comfortable in space and pass coverage. Productive knockback tackler between the tackles that shows the ability to unlock and explode at the point of attack. Plays fast, but under control and with very little wasted motion in both the run and the pass. Has a knack for being around the football and sniffing out opposing plays before they develop. A true 3-down linebacker. Shaw is more of a traditional inside backer with excellent feel and instincts in the tackle box. Projects as a multi-year Power 5 starter at the next level with the ability to contribute right away or immediately on defense and special teams. One of the headiest defenders in the cycle, regardless of position. The Hoover standout possesses an ascending ceiling with an extremely high floor due to his outstanding football acumen and second-level playmaking ability. So his with everything he brings to the table, right? The strength, the speed. And I've watched some of his tape as well, and I did see a young man that did play with good recovery speed, sideline to sideline at range, to meet and cut off access to the sideline, to running backs, right? Running backs that string it out. He does a good job being patient with his speed, right? Like I said, playing under control where he is moving fast, but he's just allowing you, he's basically baiting you to the sideline to where you don't have any room to work or any room to go, anywhere to go. Then you see the afterburners, you see the burst, the closing speed as well, to closing the football, dropping off in the coverage, the spot dropper and everything. Like, he has the good build. And even at 6'1.5" or 6'1", 215, 216, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, especially like talking about him adding weight. If this young man can keep his athleticism and get up to 230, 225, 230, which is kind of the prototypical size for linebackers. So a lot of linebackers in the NFL nowadays are, hybrid safeties or, safeties in the box. So in that case, I don't have a problem with him bulking up at all, man, because that'll help him, especially playing in the box. But if he can keep that athleticism, that'll be big for him. So talented young man. Like I said, right now the temperature is cool, but it's still time for Dabo Swinney, Wes Goodwin, and the crew to pump up the volume, turn the AC off, and let's get some heat going, right? Make the interest warm and kind of climb those one.com recruiting prediction machine and change the numbers a little bit. When it comes down to this kid, but talented young man, can really make plays in the box as a run defender, as well as dropping off in the coverage. You can see him blitzing as well. Very patient, understands the term slow until playing the run game, not attacking downhill before the ball has been declared in the belly of the running back, and then that's when he makes his move to go and strike, and get to the backfield, get into the action and make a play. So talented kid. Hopefully we can bring him in, because we defensively, if there's one thing that Dabo Swinney and them have done a great job, is recruiting defense, and this will be another feather in his cap if they can knock this one out of the park and seal the deal with Bradley Shaw out of Hoover, Alabama. And like I said, he got some big time competition. Marcus Freeman is recruiting him over in Notre Dame. Of course, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Hugh Freeze down at Auburn. All these guys, man, all of them. So we got some competition, but and Dabo we trust, right? And Dabo we trust. So shout out to Bradley Shaw. Keep an eye on his recruitment, his decision whenever he does make that, and hopefully Clemson's on that list. But guys, man, again, want to thank backup, he's one of the backup offensive linemen, the young offensive lineman on this team. My guy, my little big brother, Mason Johnstone. Love that young man. Love that kid, man. It's my guy. Joining us for the first 2 segments of the show. As always, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Get the latest episode as soon as it is available on YouTube. Go subscribe, like, comment, and hit the bell notification so you are notified anytime that we drop content on this channel. Okay, guys? Okay? All right, you know what I mean? Stay tapped in with your boy. But in terms of Twitter, you can find and follow me, DP_NFL. Talk to me because I do talk back. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go Tigers.